We are ready. So officially, welcome to this session today. And we're talking about reframing self-talk for success. So one of the key messages actually that we want to drive today is that negative self-talk is not a flaw. It's actually a protective strategy. And then we learn this over time, but it's also quite primal, and we'll get into that as well. So the goal of today is not to eliminate it, but to understand it and then work with it for success. That's what it's all about. So we hope that by the end of this session, you will have the tools that you can implement immediately, whether that's in work or in your personal life. So a really quick intro. I'm Nick Wagstaff, and my background is learning and development with over 20 years experience. So one of my roles was group head of learning and development for Shalhoub. And I'm a fellow of CIPD, and I have my psychology and a few other bits along the way, such as hypnotherapy, NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, coaching, and yoga. And really that helped me out with burnout, something I experienced 10 years ago. And I set up Inspire and Rewire to help people with the same. So I've run over 80 retreats, and I do mainly group work, but I do also do one-to-ones as well. I work with companies such as ADNOC, PricewaterhouseCooper, Airbus on leadership development and retreats. So anything from C-suite to new managers. And my belief is that you can be successful without burning out, but it's all about how you apply your mind. BB, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. I am BB. I've actually been in Dubai for about 18 years now. So I came over in 2007 with a law firm that I worked for. So I was head of HR and resourcing there. I was meant to go back after 2 years, but decided to stay. And what I really realized that I enjoyed doing, or my passion was, and my strength was in coaching people as they made the transition to the Middle East and doing business over here. So I actually left the law firm and I retrained as a coach, an NLP practitioner and master practitioner, did emotional intelligence and cultural intelligence as well. And I kind of combined all of those methodologies into my business, which is Coach Results, and set that up so I could really support people in their personal and professional development. So I utilize all of those tools I guess in my bag to really empower and allow people to really thrive and just overcome some of the challenges they have, either mentally in their head, emotionally, or behaviorally. So between us, Nick and I have got about 20 plus years experience of coaching, training, consulting. As Nick said, we've supported leaders, new managers, teams, individuals, and I've worked for women returning to work and women in business programs with the likes of MasterCard and some of the other law firms as well. So we really do have some strength in terms of the experience that we've got in coaching and training as well. But more importantly, we've actually lived through some of the things that we're going to discuss today, which is around just having confidence challenges or mindset challenges, barriers to how we can actually perform, imposter syndrome or imposter phenomenon, and as Nick mentioned, burnout. Because we've lived through some of these behavioural and emotional patterns, hopefully today we'll show in our style that actually we're creating what we want to create is an authentic space where people can share and feel that actually through just the session they have eye-opening moments that can help them move on. So really the question is, I guess, that we start with is, what is negative self-talk? Well, in reality, it's actually a powerful but internal commentary that we are in control of. But what it does is it evaluates, it criticizes, it predicts, but also it warns us. So what it does, it shows up often when we're faced with a decision to make or a new or recurring situation that we just haven't quite found our flow yet, and we don't quite know which way to turn. The voice is ours, but it often sounds quite logical. And the reason it does that is because it's using all of our past experiences and the beliefs that we hold, whether they're our beliefs or our role models' beliefs, but we've taken them on as ours. And this voice then replays to us, and we kind of recognize it because it comes from our experiences or our beliefs. But in actual fact, the driving force behind this negative self-talk is to keep us safe. So it's often actually led by fear, comparison to others, worry, and stress. So its intention is to keep us safe, but by doing that, it has this desire to limit what you actually do or how you move forward. So what we're going to try to do today is make you aware of that self-talk, and then how do you move forward to overcome or navigate it so that actually it propels you rather than it hinders you. It is powerful because we let it be, but it just doesn't have to be that way. So let's first understand how you all experience negative self-talk as well.
Okay, so we've got a question that we'd like to ask you, and it's just in the form of a poll, so you don't have to come off mute or share. But we would like to know what the impact has had on you and where you actually experience this. So bear with me while I launch this poll for you. We're asking kind of what typically triggers you or scenarios, situations. Okay, here we go, launching the poll. And of course, this is just suggestions. These are just some places. It can be so many more than this. So are we seeing the poll coming up? Is that coming up? Just click one and submit.
So it's in the chats, everyone.
Perfect. Thank you for confirming. So yeah, it's all anonymous. So you can just click one, or maybe it'll let you click more than one. Let's see. But yeah, it'd be good to know really where it's coming up for you. I know there's only two of you, but you know, those of you watching as well, just take a moment to consider this. And if you want to, you can just drop that down in your own notes and consider it as well. But it's really good starting point to think, actually, where do I experience it? And some of us might be unaware of where that is, and that's absolutely fine. Now I've clicked off that and back onto the screen, so I'm not sure if I can see any answers, but I'm just going to move on.
Sorry,
Thank
Nick,
you.
I'll just
Go on.
let you know we've got speaking up has come up as 50%. When I make mistakes is also 50%. So we've actually got the two sides that I can see. Okay, Anya, you're saying, or as someone's saying, the feature isn't available. So there's another one when I make mistakes as well.
Yes, thank you so much for being involved in that. So what I'd like to do now is just give you a bit of an idea of where it does come up and see if you can find yourself in some of these. It's got many different guises actually, and one of them could be perfectionism. So it's something like, I can't do it until everything is just right. Maybe you can recognize yourself in that. Give me a yes in the chat box if you do. But it could end up being in procrastination. So imagine an artist not sharing his work, for example, because it needs to be just right. Another could be harsh self-judgment. We might say to ourselves, I'm so stupid after saying something in a meeting. Or we might play back the day when we get into bed. It could be something we've said to a friend or something we've not done. Another one could be overgeneralizing. So really bold statements like, I always do this wrong, you know, or it's always happening to me like this. And really, we need to just pause and listen and say, it's not always happening. But when we're really caught up in it, that's what it feels like. And we'll come to that later. The other one could be that we are mind reading or second guessing what someone's thinking. So you might have felt it yourself when you sent a text to someone and you don't get an immediate reply. You start to go down a bit of a negative spiral. Not always, but it's that kind of voice that is the negative self-talk.
Yeah, and Nick, to add to that, you were just talking about sort of that spiral downwards. That could then end up in, you know, your inner voice catastrophizing. So, you know, this person hasn't responded. What does it mean? Oh my gosh, it might mean this. And all of a sudden, we've built up this huge scenario in our heads when actually we just don't know. So it's, you know, not only is it mind reading, but it's catastrophizing as well. And then I know clients have come to us as well with imposter feelings, haven't they? With that inner critic saying to them, you know, I'm not good enough, or I only got this role out of chance or luck, or I just happened to be in the right place, or I knew somebody. And then this becomes limiting beliefs, and then when the limiting beliefs come up into your head as well, they then say, oh, okay, well, if you don't belong and you only got this job by chance or by luck, then you can't actually do this. You know, you're not as good as other people who could have got this job. And so then that affects our confidence, and then the inner self-talk diminishes your ability to speak up because you're worried that, one, what you've got to say isn't relevant, or it's not good enough, or that people might judge you for this. So I think it's really important that we reflect on, you know, where does our inner critic come up? Thinking about the last time maybe, you know, you held yourself back because of the inner critic, or you were second guessing what happened. But just think about what your inner voice actually is saying to you.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. It's a really good question. And you're taking that further into how might these critiques hold you back? So, for example, perfectionism, you know, if you think of the artists, what a waste of their work, you know, who knows if it's nearly done or it's final. But other things like relationships or work or career progression.
Yeah. And even beyond that, you know, we like to flip things into the positive. So imagine as if you didn't have that inner critic. What would be possible for you if you were able to navigate that self-talk?
Yes, planting that seed, because what we want to do now is look at then how do we stop these lies that we're telling ourselves, because it's not always fact, is it? Where's the evidence? We'll come to this, because what we now want to move into is the 3 techniques that we've got to share with you. And just remember, everyone is different and unique. So some of these might land well with you, some of them might not. It's about practicing. But now we've built our self-awareness, and we're going to continue to build that self-awareness. We can stop those unhelpful thoughts and limiting beliefs and rewire them. So the aim here is to really weaken the hold that that inner critic has and flip it so that it becomes the cheerleader. Imagine what you could achieve if you had a cheerleader in your mind instead of an inner critic. So the first tool that we'd like to go through is naming that voice anyway. What is the voice? We always like to say in NLPs that you cannot manage what you cannot observe. So naming the voice creates a bit of distance between you. You come out of that emotion a little bit to be able to see what's really going on here. And here's how you can do it. Notice the phrase that your inner voice uses. So for example, I'm going to keep with that perfectionist idea example.
Mhm.
I'll wait till I have the right kit. Like, I hear this all the time from my partner, so this is why I'm using this example. Although I am not exempt from this, we, you know, this what we're saying. It's all very normal. Is having this. It's about rewiring. So I'll wait until I've got the right kit, until I take this training course, for example. Yeah, maybe sometimes, but other times it could be holding us back. So we might want to label this as my perfectionist voice. And then we pause and we step back, and we can say, ah, that's my inner critic speaking. And you shift from being inside the story to observing it. That's where real control begins. So then it becomes about practice. So as we're talking through this, maybe take a moment to write things down as you're listening, any classic phrases that come up for you that you're telling yourself. You might not know now, and that's okay. It's try to get sort of, as you're going through the day, catch yourself at intervals. Sometimes we miss that voice. So maybe at the evening, you can reflect, and that's one of the tools we'll come back to. But becoming aware, as subtle and as small as it sounds, is a really important step. And we actually underestimate the subtlety of the mind, how big we can make changes from doing these small things.
So, step 2 or tool 2 is really about, once you become aware of it, you understand the intention of this inner critic. It's all about survival, it comes from your subconscious. So, you've now become aware of it and we can actually hear what it's saying. Then we've actually got to challenge it to a certain extent in terms of, is this actually reality? We mentioned that it sounds like real reality because it's logical, it's formed from your previous experiences, it's formed from some of your beliefs. So it sounds really, really plausible. However, is it actually truth that you're hearing? So we need to question the voice, and gently, because at the end of the day, it's only doing its job, it thinks, to protect us. But we need us as the human part of the brain to challenge it logically with reasoning rather than blindly accepting, yes, it's right. So when we challenge, we're trying to ask it questions. So your aim is to find out really, where is this information coming from? Who has said it to you in the past? What's the intention of this inner critic? And is it relevant to you in your life right now? Or actually, was it relevant 10, 15 years ago when this first happened to you? And that's the thing, our subconscious doesn't get upgraded. So it thinks that it's operating on a model of just developing you consistently and keeping you safe. But actually, it might be outdated. So we actually have our own operating model like a computer does to a certain extent, but we forget to upgrade it. So by doing the reality check, you're actually making sure that what it's saying to you is relevant now, and if it's not relevant, then actually you can just let it go. The whole point is that when you do challenge it or you do this reality check, it loosens its hold on you. So by being able to name the voice and then being able to question the truth of the voice, all of a sudden you find that it kind of dissipates in terms of the strength and challenge, strength and hold that it's got on you. So your aim really is to find out what evidence supports this, and also if you find it difficult to challenge it, just imagine if your friend was in the same situation as you. Would you say what your inner critic is saying to you? Okay, that's a really, really good way of turning it. Would you speak to a friend the way that you're speaking to yourself? And that can be really, really powerful. So again, another exercise that we'd invite you to do is apply these kind of questions like what evidence does it support? Where is this coming from? Apply it to the thinking of your inner critic and then just see what happens. I mean, the whole aim of this part of it is to weaken the hold that the inner critic has got on you.
Yeah, and I really like the what question, BB, that you went through, like what evidence. So if there's one thing that you remember from that, there's one thing that I take from that is, okay, where's the evidence? What's the evidence that proves that? And that really brings that kind of logical brain back in. And just before we go into the third tool, I just want to delve a little bit further into that, what you were talking about in terms of upgrading our system. And just to give you a little bit more about the why we actually do the self-talk, and then we'll come back to the third one. So it's really important to know that humans are wired to lean towards survival. So we are constantly weighing up risk, and this is called the negativity bias. So in caveman times in survival, if we assumed everything was fine, which is the positivity bias, let's face it, we would end up being eaten by a predator or being attacked by a rival tribe, right? So we just can't take the risk. We need to err on the side of caution, just in case. So as Bibi was saying, our environment has evolved, of course, but our primal brains still carry this around, and it can show up in these, you know, less seemingly life-threatening situations, such as speaking up, which we've mentioned. And this fear comes out of being judged, which has been linked to rejection by your tribe. And this is another primal fear. We need community to survive. So it's totally normal, but we just need to bring it to the conscious and then rewire it and then check, is this appropriate? Am I safe?
Yeah,
Anything
absolutely.
to add from you on that one, BB, or should we go to
No,
one
I
or
just
two?
think it's, sometimes it can be something that happens to us, when we were, younger, we were in a meeting and, we were put down, or we were in, school assembly and, we got laughed at, whatever. That stays within us. And so the subconscious remembers that, and that's what it will carry with you. And so therefore, in terms of it trying to protect us, the voice comes up and says, oh, don't go into that situation and present again. Remember the last time you were laughed at. But that was 10, 15, 20 years ago. But what the subconscious doesn't realize is that you've upgraded your skill set, your knowledge, your capability, and everything else. But it's still holding you back or remembering from years before. So that's where I'm saying we need to sometimes just let it go and say to it, do you know what? I'm a different person. I can do this, rather than limiting myself to I can't.
Yeah, it's like becoming your inner nurturer as well. Like Bibi says, what would you say to a friend? So once we've identified and we've labeled it and we've looked at what's going on, we can start to rewrite that then. We can write a new talk inside of ourselves, that cheerleader that we spoke to. So we're replacing it with something grounded and realistic. What's maybe a challenge when we come to this is that making it too artificial or too big or something that just doesn't sit right with us. So we want to first spot the thought. So let's keep with that speaking up one. If I speak up, I'll embarrass myself. Reduce this then to the core belief underneath that. If I fail, I will be rejected. And we know now that that links to that primal sense of survival underneath all of that. So if we write it to something more balanced truth and visualize it happening, we're taking that nurturing role, a bit more gentle with ourselves. So we all might get nervous speaking up from time to time, but remember you have a voice and you have an input. So you might say to yourself, my perspective is valid and contributing is part of my growth. Be
Nikki.
comfortable with the discomfort. Yes.
Oh,
Sorry,
sorry, you
Vivi.
broke up a little bit there. I just wanted to make sure that you were okay.
Oh, thank you. Super quick then, because I've just had a warning of how long we've got left. So, my perspective is valid and contributing is part of my growth, and a reminder that growth is uncomfortable. So, we do need to get comfortable with the discomfort. And it's good to anchor it with a small action. So, you could maybe just ask a question in a meeting, and then you can start to rewire a new belief. I can do it. I did do it. Okay, so we've only got 5 minutes left on here, so we'll just go through the last few slides really quick before it abruptly ends us. So BB, over to yourself.
Yeah, so as Nick said, rewriting the script is about reframing. So stating something into the positive rather than the negative. Make sure it's self-oriented. And what I mean by that is that you are in control of how you move forward with it. Nick, you mentioned visualizing, and I just want to let the audience know that visualizing is really, really powerful because it tricks the brain and therefore the body into thinking you've already done it. So by visualizing, you feel you've already done it. So when you come to do it, the brain says, we've already done this, I've got this, it's great. So visualizing is really, really powerful because it makes things easier for you. I think it's really important that we take all of the steps. So naming the voice, doing the reality check, reframing it, and just breaking it down really, really simply. We've got coaches, we've got clients who have actually done this process, and they've phoned us a couple of days later to say, oh my gosh, I ran that race and I won it, where I could never beat that one particular competitor, and we reframed it and it's actually worked to their success. So if you do have anything that you want to talk
Just
about,
going to
please.
jump in there, sorry, BB, because I realise this is not Zoom, so we won't get cut off right on the mark. So I'd love to hear that story about your coachee, the runner.
Yeah,
It's really powerful.
I had a coachee, and she was an absolute runner, and she said there's just always one person who beats me, and the minute I see her in my mind's eye, in my periphery vision, my inner critic says, oh, there she comes, you're going to lose the race, or you can't beat her. And physically, she slows down in herself because she has that belief that it's not going to happen because her inner critic has told her. When we worked together, we got her to obviously name the voice. We talked about the voice. We did the reality check. Where has this come from? What makes you think that you can't beat her? When you're not racing against her, your time is quicker than hers. So what is it? So the reality wasn't there. She could have beaten her time. So we rewrote the script. We actually said, rather than I can't do it, I will beat her. She phoned me 2 days later. She'd run a race. She saw the girl. Her mental critic was now empowering her and saying, there she is, let's go for it, I'm going to win. And she phoned me to say that, you know, she smashed it out of the park and she'd absolutely beaten her. And that was just within 2 days. I mean, she was astounded how quick the turnaround in terms of reframing that script actually worked for her. So it was brilliant.
It's really powerful. I love that story. And it just shows you that if you can think all the way in one direction on the negative side, like how much you can achieve looking at it from the other side. So as Bibi says, we've got so many more stories and examples like that. So just reach out if you want more of those. So yeah, we're just going to summarize it all. And we've got one more question to ask you as well. So what do we need to do, Bibi? What is this whole cycle?
So the whole point of these sessions that we're running, Nick, is to let our audience know that change isn't going to happen unless you integrate or you take action. So in summary, a daily 3-minute routine will help you achieve success. So notice the one negative thought. So bring awareness to your inner critic. Name it. What's it trying to achieve? Run the reality check. You know, where does this come from? Does it belong to me? Is it real? Then rewrite it, reframe it in the positive so that it becomes a stronger belief. Visualize it so your brain thinks you've done it, and then actually do it and just feel how easy that success is. Do it consistently. It will rewire the pattern of that negative critic, and that's really, really fundamental. So the consistency will create the habit, and the habit will just become a successful one for you, empowering one for you, and one that allows you to roll through to success, allowing you to move on to the other thing, the next inner critic that you need to address.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lifelong work, but while you are practicing it, it'll help you in reality when something pops up. It'll get easier to actually apply all of this super quick in the moment itself. So the last question that we've got for you is really one that lands with a positive action, because Bibi and I love to leave you with something that you can take away and go, right, this is my next step. So just thinking about your personal experience with negative self-talk, we'd now like you to think, what could be possible if you could navigate that self-talk? So what we mean by this is, how would you show up differently? How would you behave? What would you do? So, you can pop this in the chat, but example is speaking up more in meetings. I'd make decisions quicker. I'd probably go with my gut, or I'd ask for what I want. Another one could just be in the mind, like I will believe in myself more.
Turning con into can, yeah.
Yeah, just take that moment, because sometimes we don't know really what has been holding us back all this time, and that it's as subtle as what's going on in the mind, and how we can actually easily flip that, just like the runner did. So just take a moment to yourself to think about that. And if you want to anchor it, you can pop it in the chat as well. So today we covered what negative self-talk is, why it appears, and those 3 tools to work with. And these are simple, they're repeatable practices, and they compound over time, just like that muscle memory.
Yeah, and so if you are interested in taking this deeper, we've got an upcoming retreat, which will be a half day. We've also got coaching spaces available, but what we offer is guided practice, reflection, peer support as well, to apply these tools in real life and really sort of discuss it. The main thing is, you don't have to navigate all of these alone. And as Nick started this session with, it's not a flaw, it's universal for us to have this inner critic, because we all have our subconscious. So if you are interested, please register, take a screenshot of the QR code so that you can keep updated on our next events. Please connect with us on LinkedIn as well. Our final thoughts are, thank you very much. We really, really hope that this has helped you. That we hope you understand that, we're here to support you through all of your life. So Anya, I think you've got a question there.
Sorry, I accidentally clicked on the raise hand. I wanted to clap my hands to say thank you, ladies.
Thank you for being here.
Has it helped you?
Yes, absolutely. I wish my friend could have made it, but unfortunately she had some meetings that ran over, so she's looking forward to receiving your recording.
Great.
Perfect. Yeah, yeah.
Thank
Let us
you.
know, and yeah, we'll send that out. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you for those that are watching on replay as well. We do hope it's helpful. And thank you for BB for going through this together. And we'll hope to
We'll
speak
see
to
you soon.
Yeah.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye. Just gonna stop recording.